Hello everyone. Today we are going to dig what is anthropology. Today I am going to decode the secret of anthropology. So what is this anthropology? So people are very much interested to know about this subject called as anthropology, the discipline called as anthropology. So today I am going to reveal what is this anthropology in a simplified manner. So let's start what is anthropology. So what anthropology deals about? Anthropology subject is the unique discipline which deals about you and me, means human beings, about ourselves, evolution of ourselves, culture of ourselves, societal living of ourselves, how you are, how I am, how you became like this, how I became like this. So understanding about ourselves is called as anthropology. Anthro, human being. Pology, study. Anthro, man. Study of human beings is called as anthropology. So that we are discussing. So I had a single line definition of anthropology. From that single line of definition of anthropology, I will be entering into the subject of anthropology. So what it is actually, anthropology, Anthropology, we will be understanding about ourselves historically, culturally, comparatively, mainly regarding social, cultural and biological aspects. So here we will be understanding about the man historically, how man evolved historically, means evolution of man, the process of evolution of man. Australopithecines, Homo erectus, Neanderthal, Homo sapiens, evolution of man we will be discussing historically. Comparatively, we will be comparing the cultures of simple societies and complex societies, tribal societies and modern societies, how the tribal societies are suffering. So comparison between the people, comparison between the human beings, comparison between the living standards of human beings, that we will be discussing comparatively. Anthropology subject. Culture point of view. What is the culture of simple societies? What is the culture of mainstream societies? So understanding the culture, that also we will be discussing in anthropology. So three perspectives. We have social perspective, cultural perspective and biological perspective. Societal level, how people are coming together, integration of the people, why people need to come together, how people came together, that we will be doing in anthropology. Culture point of view, the way of living habits, the standard of living, how they are living, what they are following for the purpose of living, what are the rules and regulations made by the man for the sake of peaceful living. Those all things are called as cultural aspects. And next is biological aspects, how man evolved biologically from bipedalism to erect posture to the cranial capacity. So how man evolved biologically also we will be discussing in this anthropology. So I want to make it clear what is anthropology. So here historically we will be understanding. So evolution of man, prehistory means before history, how man evolved. Historic primitive societies, how primitive societies are there, tribal societies. So historically how tribal societies are there, how tribal societies are evolving into mainstream societies. In the process of transformation of primitive societies into mainstream societies, what are the problems they are suffering because of displacement, resettlement, rehabilitation issues also we will be discussing in this particular topic. Next, the culture point of view, cultural studies, the cultures of primitive societies. What is their way of living? What is their economic subsistence? What is their political structure? What is their religion? That we will be discussing. Marriage, family, kinship, how the families are arranged, how the marriages are arranged, how the kinship relations are arranged, we will be discussing culturally. So cultural studies and cross-cultural studies also. So how the marriage system is there in that society, how the marriage is there in this society, how family is there in that society, how family is there in this society, which we are seeing in our day-to-day life. So we are not reading something alien. We are not reading something which is very new in our day-to-day life. Marriage is part of our life, family is our part of life, kinship means relationships, relatives are our part of life, economic subsistence is our part of life, political structures and religion. So what are our part and participle of our life, that we will be discussing in this particular anthropology culturally. So comparative studies, comparisons we will be doing, comparison between different tribal societies and comparisons between the tribes and mainstream societies. So how the tribal societies are there, how mainstream societies are there, whether the tribal societies, the cultures which they following are any offensive in nature, are there any rudimentary in nature, or any which is non-civilized in nature, that we will be comparing. So that comparative studies also we will be discussing in anthropology. Social perspective, society perspective, how society evolved. What is social stratification? What is social stratification? What is social group? What is social institutions? So these all things, how a society for the sake of peaceful coexistence, what are the systems evolved by the man? What are the systems established by the man? We will be discussing in this particular subject of anthropology. Societal perspective. Then biological perspective, evolution of man. The first man evolved, how he evolved. So first it was bipedal, man started from quadrupedal, then into knuckle walking, then into bipedal, then into erect posture, then into cranial capacity. So evolution of man also we will be discussing. So here I want to decode one myth. So this anthropology subject is very much advantageous to biology students or biotechnology students or genetical students. Is 100% false perception. It is a false notion. Just we will be understanding the idea of evolution of man, idea of genetical makeup of man, idea of if endogamy type of marriages, means marriage within the caste, marriage within the family is called as endogamy type of marriages, closed type of marriages. Because of closed type of marriages, what are the genetical diseases which are happening? So in the perspective of health and disease, in the perspective of evolution of man, in the perspective of fitness, fit genotype, fit phenotype, only the limited point of view only we will be studying biology, not extreme. If that is the case, the anthropology subject name would be anthropology and medical science, or the subject name will be anthropology or biology or anthropology or biotechnology. But it is anthropology, means social perspective, population perspective, community perspective we need to do. So which society is suffering with disease, why they are suffering, whether any cultural reasons are there, whether any societal reasons are there, that we need to dig, that we need to understand. So they are following endogamy type of marriages, they are marrying among themselves. So because of which the same genes is repeating, I am telling you generally, the same genes are repeating, so homozygosity is happening, hence they are suffering with genetical diseases. So simple. So it's never a biology, it's never a biology, it's never a genetics, it's never a biotechnology, it's a social subject. So that we will be discussing in the biological perspective of anthropology. So cultural perspective. So culture means language, traditions and rituals, techniques and skills, tools and objects, arts, how the food habits, how the cultural habits, these all things together constitute culture. So how people are organized in their life, what is their way of living, that we will be discussing in this particular anthropology. So overall, so when I conclude that anthropology is a subject which we will be studying about ourselves. Man, historically, means how we evolved, comparatively how cultures are evolved, and culturally what is the way of culture adopted by the man for the sake of survival. So in this particular perspective, several anthropologists gave their theories. Several anthropologists gave their thought process. So what is their thought process, we will be discussing in the subject. Social perspective, how the society came together, why there is caste system, why there is social stratification, why there is superiority, why there is inferiority, why there is superior race, why there is inferior race. We will be digging into it and we will be finding the reasons behind it. Biologically, evolution of man. Today I am in erect posture and bipedal. Why I am like this? The reasons behind it. Understanding the historical perspective from 5 million years ago to today, from Australopithecines to today. Before that we have a lot of other fossils also like Dryopithecus, etc., etc. But we are concerned about how the process of evolution happened, how we are today, what are the history, how history is responsible for that, we will be discussing. And culturally, the man, how culturally man evolved, what are the systems set up by the man, that also we will be discussing in anthropology. So overall, it will genuinely create interest in you. Genuinely it will create interest in you. Why? Because you are not going to read anything which is very new. You are going to read about yourself, myself, yourself, ourselves. Knowing about ourselves in depth, digging, understanding the secrets behind the evolution of man, understanding the secrets behind how the system is like this, why we need to follow the marriage, when marriage happened, why we need to accustom ourselves to the customs, traditions. Those all things we will be discussing in this particular subject. So this is what anthropology is. So everyone, subscribe to our channel. Thank you.